Yeah.
So hey, everybody, and if you are just going to be joining in on us here for the next few minutes, if you've been paying any attention to Discover Church's social media over the past couple weeks, you know that every week we kind of pick a little bit of a different topic, have some conversation on it, and tonight I got a feeling is going to be a good one, because tonight we are talking about marriage in the age of COVID-19 and pandemic time, and nothing is going to really find out how much you love the people you live with than to lock them in a house together for 3 months. So it's and
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day for school, for work, for everything. So we're going to take a little bit tonight and talk about that. And I know if you're part of the Discover Church family, you're probably saying, well, who is this these other young people on the screen with me? This guy looks way better than Pastor Curtis does. So who is this guy? And this is Pastor Josh and his wife Hope. And you guys are from Vertical Church, right? And I'll give you guys just a brief second here if you guys want to just kind of introduce yourself, tell a little bit about Vertical Church, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, man, we are just down the road from you guys. I mean, not quite, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we're in Virginia.
It's
so
really
you just got to go across a big bridge,
yeah,
and you're here, right? So we're in Chesapeake, Virginia. Vertical Church. Vertical Church is almost 10 years old. We've been there since the beginning, although we haven't always been in the position we are in now, helping to lead the church. And so, yeah, we love the East Coast. We're East Coasters. Come on, what's that, like West Coast stuff? We don't.
Exactly.
I say that Curtis and I have a mutual friend, Max, who lives on the West Coast, and so
that's right.
Maybe he'll jump on here and ask some questions.
That's exactly.
I think Max should do that. No, but we've been married for, do you know? 15 and a half years.
But we're not there yet.
Not there yet. That's what you got to claim. You're like, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have 4 kids, any of whom may end up on the video. They may wander in.
They are desensitized to Zoom meeting world now. They just walk in.
And 1 dog who's sitting right there chewing on his toy.
Yeah,
so
that's good. Ours is at our feet right now, sleeping for a little bit, and we'll see how long that lasts.
The dog, not the
dog,
kids.
the kids. Yeah, our kids. Now, our kids actually decided to abandon us tonight.
Yeah.
So they found out anytime they know we're going to be doing like especially late night Zoom calls, and they can't make noise and stuff in the house. So they're like, one's like, I'm going to go to Uncle Cody's. One's like, I'm going to go to Mama and Pop-Pop's. And I'm like, all right, have fun, guys. See ya. It makes it easy. You guys are at the age, you still have some kids that aren't quite able to even do that, that they, they're not quite there. So, but yeah, that's awesome. Well, listen, if you're watching this and you're wondering how do we all know each other, one of the things that we are both connected with as pastors, as leaders, is the Next Level Leadership Network, which is Pastor Matt and Sarah Keller out of Fort Myers.
Yes.
Yeah, Fort Myers.
Florida.
I almost got that messed up. Fort Myers, Florida. And so we have been in some coaching groups together and some network groups. So it's been a really great time for us to spend some time together. And it's great to know that I've got somebody just a couple hours south of me that has our back. And I hope you guys know down in Chesapeake that you got people in Delaware that are praying for you guys as well. But we're actually tonight, we're going to kind of bat around some, both of us actually sat in a little while ago on a kind of a marriage talk. It was a Zoom group that we were a part of that had some really great material, and they came out with 6 points for a healthy relationship that we figured we'd kind of share tonight. We kind of talk over. And I invited the Butchers to join us tonight, just because I think Josh is a lot smarter than I am, so I figured he's going to have some really great insights tonight for what's going to be happening. And these again are coming from some of our stuff that we had as our Next Level Relational Network teachers that they passed down to us. So it's some really good content. And make sure, if you want, stay involved. Amy, if you see her, she's not like trying to dodge the video. She's actually, she's multitasking. She's monitoring Facebook with everybody that's commenting. So if you've got any questions, comments, or anything that you would like a little bit of insight about, maybe about marriage, relations, whether you're single, you're engaged, you're dating, or maybe you've been married for a great many years. For us, babe, do you know how many years it's been for us?
17.
17, that's right. Yeah.
Soon to be 18.
Soon to be, yeah, soon to be. So I don't even know how that happened. I feel like I graduated just like 5 years ago. So somehow that all happened.
Your white hair says differently.
It does, yeah. I think we just lost Josh and Hope, and we'll see if we can get them back here in just a second. The internet sometimes can not be nice to us. So if you are still connecting with us, we're going to give them just a second to jump back on.
Well, what we can do while they're jumping back on, why don't we just start in prayer?
Yeah.
We'll give them a second, but we'll just open up so we are receptive, and we'll pray the internet works smoothly for us today.
Yeah. And so thanks for joining us. I see Mary Beth West is over there watching us. What's going on, Miss West? And I figure we'll let you. You want to open us up in prayer?
Absolutely. Yes. Lord, we just thank you for this night. We thank you for the opportunity just to share with Josh and Hope tonight when they get logged back in, and that we can just have an awesome conversation on marriage, on relationships during this time. Lord, it can be stressful, it can be joyous, it can be a mix of so many emotions, Lord God, and we just want to be able to pour out into people and love on them, Lord God, and let your light shine. So I pray that you just move through us, Lord God, let your words go forth, and let us just have a great time tonight. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Awesome. Well, it's good to see you guys. We've got Kim on there and Heather Stokely. What's going on, guys? Josh is commenting on Facebook. They're coming back. So we lost the connection there. It happens. Welcome to technology. But listen, if you're in the comments, if you are married, why don't you do this? Do us a favor. Why don't you type in there if you know how many years you and your spouse have been together. Don't mess up.
Without looking on your calendar.
Yeah, without looking on the calendar.
Cheating.
Yeah, no cheating. So if you know how long that is, make sure you take the opportunity and comment with that. We'd love to see how many we have on here and how many years we have combined. I bet it'd be a mess, a lot. So we're gonna, as we getting ready for Josh and Hope to jump back on here, we're going to be talking today about 6 points for a healthy relationship. And here they come again. And look at that. You could look at their pictures and just listen to them, but there they are back in live, in real life. So that's awesome.
No,
yeah. So listen, I don't know. Do you guys have dedicated internet down there in Chesapeake?
We do. We have Verizon Fios.
You have Verizon Fios. Okay. That's good. Well, listen.
It makes me feel better about our hotspots.
Yeah, listen. If in Sussex County, we are all about like patchworking it together of hotspots and whatever you got, because it's pretty rough around these parts.
So I'm a terrible counter, but we're well over 100+ years.
100+ years combined. I see we got 13 years.
I mean, we got 28, 26, 13. I don't know. I've lost count.
You lost count. Yeah.
My IR math skills have ended.
Yeah, I was gonna say Gallisters were 6 years. I actually had the Shelly and Kenny. I just had a memory not that long ago of the anniversary from when you guys got married over at DCOG. That's awesome. But that's cool. Well, we're going to kind of jump in and dive in here to 6 points to a healthy relationship. We have some of our friends, Josh and Hope from Vertical Church in Chesapeake, Virginia, joining us. And listen, the first one was a really great one, is that men and women are different. And I know that some of everybody watching are like, amen. But it is true. Josh, Hope, what are some of the ways that you guys find yourselves that you're different in comparison to one another?
Well, I'm incredibly musically talented. I'm not. It's terrible. No, you go ahead.
I mean, I think organizationally, like in the home, we're wired different. And so that's a huge one when it comes to family and schedules and working together in the church and, all of that. It's just, I'm a planner. I'm a like list person. I'm a check things off.
Me too.
And I have to like engage him in like asking questions like, what is your list? What are these things I need to write down? Because I'm not going to know what they are. They're in your head. I just told you the other day, there are things in your head right now that I need to have a conversation with you about because I don't know what's going on.
Curtis and I literally just had that conversation over a group me message thread.
Yeah.
So,
It was one of those things to where you were talking about how you miss relaying some information to her. And I said, that's why Amy all the time is looking through my email. She reads my text messages because she'll say, oh, did you have a conversation with so-and-so and forget to tell me? Oh, yeah, we're doing that. Yeah, by the way. So that's good. So
and we do tell, it becomes like, I give her this little sliver like, we talked and, A, B, and C's going on and they're fine.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what
you were
else?
there for 2.5 hours. There's nothing more than that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, exactly.
That is absolutely real. I'll tell you, listen, one of the things that is, I know it sounds like a kind of a small thing, but ends up being a kind of a bigger thing for us is that even the way we operate is much different in the sense that she's like, go to sleep real early, wake up early, like get up, like want to get stuff done. I'm like a stay up all night, party till,
and lay in bed
midnight.
all day.
I could sleep in every day. It'd be the greatest thing ever. And so even for us, I know that sometimes is even like points of like some friction, you know what I mean? Like you guys are talking about, like the communication, even just the relay of information is so different because, most men, I think, have the concept of like, well, here's the top 3 points and everything after that doesn't really matter because here's the top 3 points, And of course, women, they want that subcategorized out. They really need that broke down a little bit more. So
Yeah, and that just ends up, it's like oil and water, don't mix.
Yeah.
And so those differences, what's funny, right? That what attracted us to each other, the differences that was attractive when we're dating, all of a sudden when we're living in the same house together, and now when we're living in pandemic together, so we're in the same house all the time, those differences become conflict, what once was attractional now becomes frictional.
Attack.
Yeah.
Attactional.
Attactional. There you go. That's a good pandemic word. Yeah, absolutely. That kind of moves us really almost to point number 2. And that is communication. Communication obviously is a major point for healthy relationships. And I know, I don't know with you guys, but when I go through pre-marriage counseling with people that are getting married, I say, listen, I'll tell you the way that me and Amy communicate, but that's not going to be your way to communicate because everybody's is a little bit different. But I know that obviously communication is a really key. I actually seen another pastor just the other day. They asked a really great question, and this is for everybody watching. This is a really great comment moment for you. It says, what is the dumbest thing that you and your spouse thought about during quarantine? And I love some of the comments that people put where, and this was a man, no doubt, that wrote this. He says, where the toothbrush was in comparison to where it should be.
No, the wife started that.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. The wife started that argument. Absolutely.
So,
it was not put back in the right place.
This is one that could have been you, is that he's still breathing. Because apparently I'm a loud breathing. I don't know if
it's so bad.
So let's see. There's also ones about fighting and arguing about Netflix. One, what I thought was kind of funny, which was how the toilet paper was supposed to hang on the holder. And for those of you watching, it hangs over. Absolutely. If you do it,
I just want it on. I know you guys got young kids too. I just want it on when I go in their bathroom. That's all I want.
Yeah. So listen, for all you people, if you are happen to be at the toilet and the toilet paper is under, fix it. Just flip it over real quick and just keep it over. But another really great one was, who ate all the cookies? That also sounds like an argument that happened in our house.
Not with me.
Not with us. No.
With the children.
That's with me and my children. My children love to eat my double stuffed Oreos, and all I ask is that you leave me a few. So, But what I was going to say, how long did it take you guys, obviously you've been married for a while now. How long did it take you guys to really feel like you developed a good sense of communication? And do you feel like that's changed over time?
It's definitely changed over time. I think it's changed in the last year and a half, even. But I think we actually had a really good foundation, because when we started dating, we started dating in group contexts, and so this really dates us. When we started dating, neither of us had cell phones. There was no such thing as like text messaging. So we had
calling cards.
We had calling cards, but we would email back and forth, and then occasionally AOL Instant Messenger back and forth. And so we did a lot of talking. That's what I'm trying to say.
We were long distance by like an hour.
Yeah.
So we weren't together every day or anything like that.
But over the last year and a half, the one word that has helped me understand communication more than anything else is a created word. I don't know that it's a real word, but it's the word assumicide. And what assumicide is when you incorrectly believe you know somebody else's thoughts, feelings, and motivations.
That's good.
And so a lot of times, like, that for me is huge in communication, is just stepping back and asking myself, like, am I committing assumicide right now? Am I making assumptions about her thoughts, feelings, and motivations without actually knowing what it is? And so that has helped us in the last year and a half really improve on what we felt like was already a good foundation.
Yeah, and I think for us too, like when we do hit that kind of conflict wall where, we need to come to some sort of agreement, I think I don't know if you read it a few years back or where you heard it, but you said it one time, and it was like, when you look at your spouse and you feel like what they're saying is attacking you, or offending you, just stop and think to yourself, based on what I know about this person and how much they love me, is that, something they would do? Is that what they actually mean or is that me assuming that, taking something personal and turning what they're saying into an attack, when really I just maybe don't understand it fully, or I need to ask more questions about what they mean,
Yeah.
So Curtis and Amy, I'm going to tell them myself because that's probably safer. But the worst communication fail I think I ever committed in our marriage happened like 2 weeks into our marriage. We had some plans when we got married that fell through, but we were living in this house. Hope had not yet started a job that she'd already worked out, and I was still in school. And so we were unpacking all of our stuff into this house. We just moved in. And so I came home from being at school all day and working with different professors and all that. And I look, and all the boxes are where I left them that morning. Nothing has been unpacked, except all of the pictures are on the floor scattered around, and there are like scrapbooks opened up. And so I step in the living room, I look at her, I look at all the packed boxes, I look at her again, and I say, "So what have you been doing all day?"
Oh, nice.
That was a good move. Yeah. Now, did you instantly?
Assumicide.
I was gonna say, did you instantly know, or did it take a little bit of explaining for you to realize that was probably not the smartest thing?
No, I dug my heels in the ground. It was not good.
And then I walked away and went in our walk-in closet and closed the door for a little bit.
Yeah, for a little bit. I'm gonna take a time out right now. But yeah, absolutely.
How about you guys?
Well, we've thought long and hard about the COVID-19 one. I mean, we're with you guys. We've kind of worked together, ministry, church, jobs for a really long time, always together. So we're used to being together. We have a new puppy, and he is 6-7 months old. And
Lord bless him.
When he sleeps in our kids' room, he sleeps all night long. He doesn't have to get up and go out.
Yep.
But when he sleeps in our room, he has to get up and go out. And like we hit a pinnacle tipping point a couple weeks ago
Well,
of just like a major stress level of just
well,
life.
Let's hit a timeout here, okay?
Okay, I hit the stress level of life.
because here's the caveat to this thing though, is if he's sleeping in our room,
Yeah, he likes Curtis.
he always, without a doubt, 100% of the time comes and wakes me up. And I'm not a real big fan of being woke up. And so we did have a moment a few weeks ago where I'm just like,
we had some words at night. It was great.
We're gonna sell the dog. We're gonna sell the children. Like everybody that doesn't let me sleep tonight is gonna be kicked out of this house. You know, it was a rough moment. So it was pretty bad. So.
And we went back to bed, and then the next day we were like, okay. We had a little bit more words, and we're like, we're fighting over a dog. Like,
exactly.
This is bad. Yeah. This is where life has taken us. Like,
and I'll tell you, and to that point, for what you guys are talking about, really, I think, and I say this, and I know if you've watched all of these Discover Church Facebook Live things that we've done, you probably heard me say this every single week, but it's 100% true every single time we say it. The COVID-19, the pandemic, quarantining has really affected people at an emotional state, even for people that don't recognize it. And so if you are watching this and you say, oh, well, it's not affecting me at all, that I can pretty much guarantee is a lie. You're just pushing that stuff down. You don't want to. And so the problem that happens is we press that down, and then we lose our communication skills with somebody, and you blow up on somebody. And you know,
Charlie put in the comments that they fought over the remote control.
Over the remote control. That could be a legitimate reason, though, because I don't know what Hope likes to watch, but
we don't watch the same stuff.
We do not watch the same stuff. So
we share a few things, and that's
yeah. So, but it's good stuff. Yeah, I know. I just wanted to share with everybody just a scripture here. This is one for you if you need some good scripture to kind of think about, meditate on.
Communication.
Yeah, still in communications. This is Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. It says, listen, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up and according to their needs. Now, listen, that's a really easy verse to read, but that is a monumentally hard verse to live out. So especially when you think about all the things that we say and all the really stupid stuff that comes out of our mouths as well, you know, and then because it continues on, it says, don't grieve the Holy Spirit because you were sealed for the day of redemption. And that in verse 31 says, get rid of all the bitterness, the rage, the anger, the brawling, the slander, and every form of malice. And lastly, in 32, but to be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other just as Christ forgave us. And so I think that is just a great passage that we have there to kind of meditate on that, you know, we all probably fail at miserably constantly. So that's good.
Well, yeah. And I think like Josh was talking about with knowing triggers, like if you guys have been married, for a while, we've been married for a while. We saw the years of people, variety, but know your triggers. Like I know what I can say to crawl underneath your skin. Like I know what keywords I can use, but I have to choose, like Josh was saying, not to say those, even if I'm upset or I'm mad, or like Hope was saying, just because it's what I want to do. Yeah. I got to know not to use those trigger words that are just going to cause a storm in the end.
Yeah. I was going to say, do you guys like have anything that, you know, like, oh, I shouldn't have said that or anything like that with each other?
Well, you know, to rewind Ephesians just a couple of verses before 29, I think it's verse 15, is where Paul uses the phrase to speak the truth in love.
Yeah.
And that has been our definition of healthy communication for years.
Yeah.
It's speaking, it's not remaining silent.
Right.
It's the truth. It's not lies, assumptions, hurt, bitterness, all that stuff that he talks about there in 30 and 32. But it's in love.
Yeah.
It's because what I know that will get on her nerves is if I speak the truth, but I speak the truth in anger.
Yeah.
Or if I speak the truth in frustration. It matters, like the heart that you're coming with, you know? And so And then I know that if I don't speak, that's really her trigger.
That
Is it,
stonewalling thing, like, just shutting down. Like, I need to like talk it out till, and I've learned to temper that a little bit too, like, or temper that, like, say, I don't need to drive this into the ground. Like, my method is let's talk to the bitter end and figure it all out.
Mm-hmm.
He gets exhausted at, one point and is like, and I know we're not going to move any further, and so it's like learning how each other communicates is so key too.
Yeah, and again, I think it's so good to learn how to argue, because disagreements are going to happen in marriages. I mean, obviously, but learning how to do that in a good, healthy way, so that when you come out of it, you can still state your mind, you can still have the opportunity to say it. But like you said, I think speak the truth in love is like probably one of the mottos that I have to live by, because early on in my life, I was really good at speaking truth. I could throw truth down all day long.
But he was a little harsh.
But she'd be like,
just a little harsh.
I think you probably could have worded that differently. And I'm just like, but it's the truth, So yeah, absolutely. That's
you better grow up.
Yeah, exactly. Come on now. So yeah. So, but so we talked there. First point was that men and women are different. Obviously, the second one is communication, and this is one that everybody probably wants to get out and take notes for, because it's the one that everybody is probably the most interested talking about with marriage. I hope you don't have any small children around you, because we're going to talk sex. Now, we could have like a whole plethora of rap songs that come in the back about, let's talk about sex, baby. You know what I mean? And all that. I'm not going to sing it. But yeah, so we're going to talk about sex because it's part of marriage. So I was going to say, obviously, one of the big things that is a really funny thing that I love to tell couples pre-marriage counseling. I said, listen, I heard this really great piece of advice years ago, that if you and your spouse are just having just a really tough time communicating, fighting, arguing, just do it naked. Because if you do it naked, things will ease up. Things will good. And they're like, really? I never thought any pastor would ever tell us to argue naked. But that could be the best piece of advice somebody watching has got all night. So,
it's kind of hard to get mad when your spouse is naked.
It's hard to get mad when your spouse is naked.
I'm taking notes. You go ahead.
So
I didn't know scripture.
So that later I can be like, hey, Curtis told us to get naked.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
We're just following the advice.
Yeah. You start. That's when this is when people start arguing just to start taking their clothes off. You know what I mean? They're just like, listen, this is what we thought we were doing. So,
every Discover Church man is going to strike up an argument with his wife tonight and be like, hey, it's time to get naked, baby. Pastor Curtis said.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Fred West says he has Keith Sweat.
Oh, he has Keith Sweat on. That's exactly right. That's good. That's good. Yeah.
And do it right now because the pastor told me.
Do it right now because the pastor told me. That's exactly right. So anyway, yeah. So I know that there's some people that are probably like, did they just say sex? Yeah, we did. Because that intimate relationship is really key. And I know for you guys and for us, going through like small kid phase, we're kind of in, I won't say our kids are old, but older kid phase. I mean, I've got a freshman in high school and a middle schooler. So kind of getting into that, we've kind of lived through the different stages. And man, I would tell you that the level of intimacy, we've done fairly good, not always perfect, but we've done really good at being really consistent with that. And it is a huge point to a relationship, because listen, it's so easy for some people to go a week turns into 2 weeks, turns into, and it just kind of gets drawn out process that all of a sudden it feels awkward to be intimate again because it's been so long. And so obviously, I think that is a huge part of the marriage contract. I was gonna say, do you guys have anything that you would want to add to this?
Our number one tip for couples who have young kids is melatonin. Melatonin. Listen, I'm not trying to speak for like the Discover Church people, but don't be hitting us up in the comments with your granola mom stuff. If you need to pop a couple melatonin gummies in your kid one night a week so that you and your spouse can be intimate, do it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go for it.
honestly, though, we're raising 3 out of the 4 are night owls. Now, our 13-year-old will just go to bed, whatever. Our youngest 2, though, it's like, knock, knock, knock on the door, knock, 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 like, I need water. I need, I didn't brush my teeth when you told me to, any excuse to get up. And so it's just like, we figured out, we're like, okay, there's going to be some nights where it's like, you're going to bed, I'm sorry, we're night owls too, but,
But one of the things that they shared on the call, which I took their advice immediately that night, and fellas, that's like, for ladies, they're like, okay, for guys, I'm going to just be generous and say we're 98% visually stimulated. It doesn't take, we're like firecrackers. We don't have a long fuse. It's like, we're ready to go. But for ladies, they're like 25% visually stimulated and 75% like creating the moment. And so it's hard to step into the moment when there are like dishes in the sink, laundry on the couch, the carpet hasn't been. So fellas, if you want to create the moment, wash some dishes, fold some laundry. That's like the sexiest thing you can do, guys.
Yeah.
It's like do the dishes.
Not going to help.
Yeah.
I think communicating too, like, we've all if you've been married any length of time, you've kind of learned that it's not a movie. It's not movie romance. You got to communicate. And some of those conversations feel really awkward at first, but sometimes it's just like, look, I have 1,000 things on my mind right now. This is not happening until da 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 da.
Yeah.
Or, help me find that space in my brain, because right now, as a mom, as a wife, having a job, all of those things, I have a whole list in my head right now of things that, I'm concerned about. And so having those conversations, yes, it means stopping and having a conversation before, the romance can start. And that's not really movie life, but that's just reality. And it's better to do that than have, not be on the same page in that area, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is huge. I mean, and obviously this has to go from when you first get married and things are fresh and brand new to whether you've been married for 20 plus years, because it's so easy for people to kind of sometimes just kind of feel like they're autopiloting or just kind of coasting through stuff. And listen, especially guys, please, please, please take the opportunity. Do not try to let that romance kind of die out. Listen, we gotta kind of work on it. You gotta remember all the reasons that you love her and all the reasons that she probably shouldn't even be with you. You know what I mean? Let's just be real. Like all the times when you kept screwing up, but she put up with your crap. So listen, it's just a matter of fact for us to really kind of stir that and not just think it's like you said, it's not just a switch that just gets flipped on, whenever you think it should be flipped on. And the other thing I'll also say with sex is please remember that, again, just like in communications, not everybody's sex life is the same, right? So don't try to, guys, think if you have friends that are, trying to make stuff up about what they think they're doing or whatever, they're not. But listen, the fact of the matter is you and your wife, you've got to work that out together and got to be kind of raw and vulnerable with each other. And hopefully if you've been married any length of time that you realize that and that you don't lose that vulnerability and that intimacy that you can have. So I thought it was so great. 1 Corinthians 7:5 says this. It says, don't deprive each other except for mutual consent for a time of prayer. Basically, prayer is the reason we stop. Okay, that's right. And the reason I love it because it actually goes on. It says, then you should come together again so that Satan will not tempt you because of your lack of self-control. So really, when you take the time to be intimate, you are fighting the devil. That is another beautiful bonus that you got tonight that you didn't know was coming. So that's good.
That's great.
So listen, we could probably spend the rest of the hour talking about communication and sex.
Josh got it.
So sex, spiritual warfare weapon.
That's exactly it. That is it. Yeah. That puts a whole new term to this is how I fight my battle. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. We're going. That's off.
Bring it back in.
That's off in a whole.
Gentlemen, you can find Curtis and Amy's book. It'll be on sale on lifeway.com called "This Is How I Fight My Battles: 5 Secrets to a Sex Life That Spiritual Warfare."
Yeah, that is good. That is awesome. So listen.
How about tip 4?
Tip 4.
Let's just go to 4.
Tip 4 actually is a result of step 3, and that is
step
kids.
3.
So kids. So obviously, pandemic life has really upended a lot of people trying to figure out how in the world to navigate the structure of teaching your kids at home, and if you're working from home, or if you're like us and you're kind of still working out and then coming home and figuring out why your kids haven't uploaded the report that they needed to, or whatever it is, but obviously, with kids, it comes down to, creating some good rhythms and structures. What have you guys been doing through pandemic times as far as for your marriage with your children?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we have younger kids, but we have one who's old enough to watch his siblings.
Yeah.
So we are very thankful for that, because we'll go have grocery store dates,
Walmart time,
where we're getting alone together. But we were also on the kids' end of things. We were really fortunate that we had homeschooled for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say this.
This is not the same.
Yeah. So for for any parents who are
I don't
losing
see how
it,
homeschool moms do this.
This is not homeschooling.
No,
This is not what it looks like. Because you can go to the zoo, you can go play date, you can go to the park.
You can choose what your kids are doing for assignments. We don't get that choice.
So all of that school guilt, you just need to let that go. We're all doing the best we can with that. But yeah, we had a lot of kind of systems as far as what it looks like to share the devices and be online, and your turn and their turn. So we felt really fortunate to kind of do that for our schedule. But a lot of it with the kids involved, it just comes back to trying to lead out of a heart of love, because their world is completely different too.
Yeah.
And so
we had one conversation you did with our middle son, and he had this issue with his lips. He was having issues with ulcers on his lips. So he was already really stressed about that. And so Josh just starts asking him are you stressed out? Because we really couldn't get to the root of the problem. And he just started pouring out all of this list of things that had to do with COVID-19, everything changing. And he is our child that doesn't like changes. He's always struggled with that. And so it was just really revealing that he kind of unloaded all that, and it was enlightening actually to see that. Because we thought he just staying home, you're getting to stay home all the time.
Because he's our introvert too, and it's this is perfect for you. But no, I mean they're our kid. They're under a lot of stress, and just a change of stress. And so to try to, muster up. I don't even think muster up. Let's just say it for what it is. Pray and ask the Holy Spirit to give you that supernatural grace, and that supernatural love and compassion.
Well, and I think
doesn't always come natural.
Having been a homeschool mom before and kind of worked through some of this, but also seeing the nature of all of this, I think for every parent right now, it's kind of like you just said, no guilt. There's no guilt here. Whatever you have to do to get through the week and teach a little bit to your kids about time management. If they learn one thing about time management this week, we're home free. Like we had a great week, and so like, I've just really shaken off the guilt of like, because they only have about 2 hours worth of schoolwork to do each day or whatever. And I'm like, go play. Like, just go play. Go be a kid. I'm not going to sit there and make you, read. I'm not going to give you extra work. I'm not going to give you all this extra responsibility. Just giving everybody that freedom to just be themselves during this time as much as they can.
What does that look like for you guys? With the older kid, because you got some.
It's been stressful, but I think Josh, what you said is right. Like it's that unconditional love and that grace. Our 14-year-old, he's self-sufficient. He's never had a problem with school, and his transition from in-person school to remote, like we just don't see him. That's all there is. I mean, he's still at school. He's just upstairs locked away doing his schoolwork.
Yeah.
So there wasn't really any issue with him. Our youngest though, she didn't like school to begin with. So now to actually try to sit with her, that has been a struggle. But I kind of like what Hope said. I'm like, you do it. I give her a timeline. This is her schedule. She knows each day what she has to do. And when she's done, I'm like, go. Like, stay off the computer. Go play. Go do something. It's just, it's that unconditional love. It really is. It's had to be Jesus. I know I've prayed many, many times, like, I don't want to kill my child today. Help me, Lord. Just real life talk.
Yeah. One of the things that is interesting though with COVID-19, and I won't say that there's a lot of great things obviously that have come out of it, but one of the things that is kind of a glimmer of hope for us, or not even a glimmer of hope, that may be the wrong word, but just something we've been able to do, is there has been moments when we would normally be running like chickens with our heads cut off right now with baseball and softball and school ball and all that stuff. That with that stuff, don't get me wrong, we do miss that. But being able to stay at home and play some board games with our kids, or coming up with, some other activities that we do around the house, that's kind of been kind of cool. It's something we wouldn't normally do. It doesn't normally happen, especially this time of year for us. But that's kind of been one small bonus to it. One of the things, though, we've really tried, and I would encourage everybody that's got kids watching, and this doesn't really matter how old your kids are. Even if your kids are in high school, I would really encourage everybody, really try to set time aside. Listen, it doesn't have to be hours upon hours, but set a little bit of time aside to spend some real quality time with your kids to the best of your ability, whether it's game time, whether, if you guys are into a certain show or movie or something that is like your thing, to be able to spend those time with them. Because guess what? Don't waste this time that you have now just locking yourself in your room to doing your own thing or whatever, because if you've got the captive audience, you might as well take advantage of it while you can.
Like our 14-year-old, honestly, the only thing he likes to do is he just likes to watch TV with us. Like he's lazy by the end of the day, and by the time we're winding down from work and ministry, he's just like, can we watch TV now? But he doesn't want to watch TV by himself. He's like, Mom, Dad, like, can we watch a show now? Yeah. So like, I mean, as little as that is, and that might seem so insignificant, the fact that he wants to be in a room with me still, I'll take it. I'm like, you know what? I'll sit and I'll watch this dumb TV show, no matter what it is. Yeah. I get to talk to him about it. Yeah. And then Haley, our youngest, she just wants to play cards or dolls.
I had to play Go
or
Fish.
talk.
I had to play Go Fish tonight before we came on.
Right before we came on, she had to get one game in.
Yeah, exactly. So
we tried to play Clue.
Oh.
And I need the room to be silent.
Yeah.
I'm studying everybody playing, and I'm making notes. That doesn't happen with a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old around the table.
No.
And so finally I just said, I got to guess. And I went for it. I didn't get it, but I was done. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
I know that if I keep trying to play the way I want to play, I'm going to blow up on somebody.
We got to go back to step number 1 and 2.
So what are we here for? We're here for fun. Yeah. Let me take a shot. Yes.
Yeah. We have, our youngest is a handful. He's special needs and he's 4.5. So it's just a time bomb ready to go off at any time. And one of the things that we've done, even though on a normal basis our kids would be, winding down and at least going to their bed by 9 o'clock, we've really kind of just been a little looser with bedtime with our older ones, just giving them, like you were saying, like after our day is over, like sitting down, watching an episode of something together, or playing games, and just kind of not making them, we've kind of loosened the structure on the morning routine, just because honestly, it's quieter if we do that around the house in the morning, which I like better, and it's not rushed. And so that's been really cool too. Like that, I will really miss that when school starts back, because we were kind of, like you guys were saying, on a really rigid evening routine before, and losing that, it's going to be like, everybody go to bed.
We gotta eat dinner at this time, because if we don't, we can't all get showers, and everybody can get showers before it's time for. I totally understand.
I don't miss that. Yeah.
I don't miss that, and I'll tell you what I don't miss. If there's anybody watching that was in charge of my daughter getting on the school bus, she had to get on the school bus at 6:30 in the morning, which is of the devil. So if we could get that fixed out for next year, you'd have a real grateful person here. But that's a total side note. That's my shameful plug for a
We are
new
not morning people in this house.
Ooh, no, I am not either. And let me tell you, and my daughter, at 6:30 in the morning, you get her in to take her down the driveway to the bus stop, and she's just 100 miles an hour just talking about everything that's going to happen for the day. And
that is our daughter too. She is one. I mean, all her little friends are down there, 100%. Like,
yeah, and so I'm lucky if I'll say 2 words. I'll say, love you, as she gets out of the car, but she's talked the entire time. So that's awesome. But yeah. Well, look, that leads us to point number 5, which is a really good one, and this is one that we've really been pushing for at DC, and that is to just take time during this whole COVID pandemic, everything crazy, to really pray, to grow together, to really kind of grow in the Lord a little bit. And I know for some people that feels super weird, because they're not used to doing it already by themselves. So then you tell them, hey, I want you to pray and read the Bible with your spouse. And then they're like, what? I'm not sure I'm down for that. But listen, that's another level of vulnerability that I think is huge, huge for marriage. Because listen, as much as we were joking about getting naked in front of each other, some people find that so much easier than they do opening up about a need or a spiritual thing that's going on in their life, or where they're at emotionally, what they're feeling. So I really think it kind of rounds out the total package. But I was gonna say, what do you guys, kind of recommend as far as for just you, or for people, like, what have you been telling people in your church during this time of, obviously they're not meeting for church, on Sundays in person, they're online now. So what are we doing for growing together and praying and just as a family, like coming closer together to God and each other at that time?
Well, one of the things we recommend in all seasons is for couples to pray together out loud.
Mm-hmm.
There's some statistics on that I think it reduces the divorce rate astronomically, like exponentially. Couples who pray together regularly out loud, it's like a 0.01% rate.
Which in the beginning is the most awkward thing you've ever done.
Oh,
in your
yeah.
life. Like,
it's weird.
The first time, it's just like, I've been praying for how many years, but just praying out loud to someone who I love and trust and talk to all the time. Why is that so awkward?
And I think it's important for like our church people, because we're both pastoral couples, but for them to know, like, hey, that's a little awkward for us too. Yeah. Like it's not just something that just comes natural. Yeah. I can get up and you can get up and y'all get up and we can pray in front of hundreds of people. Right. Not a problem. Yeah. But all of a sudden, that intimacy of one-on-one praying with somebody who has seen you naked, it just feels weird. But we oftentimes talk about, like, who do we want to be at the end of this race?
Yeah.
What kind of marriage do we want to have at the end of our race? Okay, cool. Then we know what to do every day now, because we know who we want to be at the end. And so knowing who you want to be at the end, like having a vision for who you want to be at the end, it gives you that extra motivation to push through that awkwardness. But even Curtis, like what you said earlier about not to bring everything back to the sex conversation, but the same thing applies when you said, if it has gone like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and you haven't, been intimate with each other sexually, it can be a little awkward and clanky. The same thing happens in a prayer life spiritually. If it's been 2 weeks, 3 weeks since we've actually had a spiritual conversation, then when we try to have one, it might feel a little jerky and awkward here and there, but to just kind of push through and then shoot for that consistency, to not let that fire grow cold.
Yeah. And one of the things that we've done with, especially even our kids, because our kids they kind of grew up, they went to Christian school, they were kind of taught the repetitive prayers that, probably all of us probably learned as far as like kind of starting to pray about food or bedtime or whatever. And I know for us, really, just as a family, we tried to say, listen, we're not just going to pray a prayer just because we prayed a prayer. Like, oh, we're going to sit down to eat, so we're supposed to say something, and we say the same thing every single time, right? But actually, like, try to be more mindful of the moments we're in and of the things we're praying for and the things we're grateful for, and just really spend those, enjoy those few moments. And again, if you're watching this today and you've really never prayed with your spouse, you don't really know how to do that, one real easy way to kind of get the ball rolling is if you can look at each other and say, what's something right now that we're thankful for from God? What's something that God's done for us that we're thankful for? Every single day, you should be able to come up with something that's happened to you for the day or whatever. And that's just one small step to kind of get you into that habit, to kind of get you into that. And listen, another great thing to do after, you say, well, what are we thankful for? Well, say, who can we pray for? And just kind of take those baby steps into it. And again, try to help break down the awkwardness, because I fully admit, like you guys said, it is awkward. It can be super weird. You know what I mean? To be able to do that, take that time.
And I would suggest, if it's something you don't do currently with your spouse, and Hope and Josh, you might be there too, is if my prayer life may not be his prayer life. I'm a book person. So when I think of prayer time and I think of, me time, it's reading and writing, and I can't tell you last time he's read a book. So I think it's been a while. When we first got married, I was all out. Like, we were going to be the spiritual couple. And we
were going to have every book.
I think I had 3 books on my bedstand that we were supposed to read every night and write in and pray together. And I think it lasted 3 days. Like, it just didn't fit who we were and who our relationship was. So don't compare. Yeah. Don't compare your prayer life and your spouse's prayer life with another couple's prayer life, because it can be different. It's okay to look different. Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's good. And that gets us to our last point, as we're going to kind of get ready here to wrap up for the night. And that would be to have some guilt-free time. Having some guilt-free time during the pandemic. Listen, you are not a bad person if you need some guilt-free time alone. Just because you need to take a time out because you feel like everything's going wrong for the past week and you're about to explode. You're not bad for needing to have some guilt-free time when it's together as a couple. And you're certainly not, it shouldn't feel bad if you need some guilt-free time to just to give God some worship, to pray, to come to him, to tell him your frustrations and your anger, just to do that. And I think that is a real huge thing, because I think you guys would agree with this. It's so easy for people to get some phases in their lives out of place. And, I can't tell you how many people, put their kids ahead of their spouse. And then they find that after a couple of years, when their kids move out, they don't know who their spouse is anymore. They don't know what happened. They don't know what's going on. And so really to make sure that, listen, don't waste this COVID-19 and just decide that you have to watch everything that Netflix has to offer. I mean, you could do that. I don't know that's the best use of your time, but have that guilt-free time. You guys got any thoughts on that?
Yeah. We try to do that. We don't feel guilty at all for leaving our kids all home. I left that behind a long time ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we have one old enough to stay home with him. It's the
She's like, let's just clarify so that if there's anybody watching, you're not trying. Don't like. We have a babysitter, so okay.
Don't leave toddlers home by themselves. That's not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, as long as the drawers have the safety locks on. It's fine. But I did that just the other day, which we didn't even have a conversation on it. It's just kind of understood. And I took it. We live on a golf course, which I did not play 5 holes for free just the other day, but I did spend some time completely by myself because I needed some time away, and not even really wasn't even like praying or anything. It's just kind of needed that silence.
Yeah.
And
I bought 2 rocking chairs for the back porch, which was something I wanted anyway. But I mean, somebody could probably measure my stress by when I go out there. Like, it's like, okay, walking outside, closing the door, sitting in my rocking chair, even if it's just for like 5 or 10 minutes to be in a different space with a different surrounding for, without the noise of the house or whatever, fresh air. Of course, it's been raining for like 3 days here, but anytime I can do that, like that's, just, it helps because we're all stuck in the same 4 walls all the time, it feels like. So,
Yeah. And just to, give yourself permission to need that or to ask for that. And, if you're on here and it's like, I don't know that I could even have that conversation with my spouse, like that I need an hour this week. Well, then not making light of this at all, then you probably have other conversations you need to have if you can't have that conversation.
Yeah.
There's already some stuff you probably need to work through and, deal with. But giving yourself that permission to say, hey, I just need an hour to go on a walk, or I just need a couple of hours today to go to the store, drive through Starbucks and sit in the parking lot and just listen to worship music, or just, not hear the same, 5 words repeated over and over by my 6-year-old, like I just need a space to have that, to give yourself that permission to have that conversation and to make that ask. That's kind of what I was thinking about your question there, Curtis.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. And honestly, this just happened the other day to us is I've had a rough handful of days here lately, just with work stuff that's going and just some other stuff that's happening. And so she knew I was kind of getting like to the end of.
He was getting redder. The top of his head was getting redder and redder as he was talking.
Getting to the end of Happy Curtis, and we were about to go into a different level. And so she's like,
"You're about to speak some truth."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And she was just like, I think that you might need to take a day and just kind of go away and just like.
I said it lovingly.
And I was like, "You're probably right." You're probably right. We're going to see if we can figure out how to set that into my schedule. But listen, if that is, again, if you're watching this and you start noticing your spouse, you know what I mean? Like it's kind of getting there. Even your kids, you know what I mean? Yeah. If you start noticing that, listen, it's easy to get mad with them, but listen, don't get mad. Just allow them that space, allow them that time, or create that environment for them to be able to take that time. So those are some really great stuff. And listen, it has been such a great opportunity tonight to spend some time with you guys. I know I see and talk to Josh through GroupMe, and we get to see each other on our coaching calls that we're involved with. And I normally we see Hope when we're down in Florida together. We're hoping everything opens back up for that come October, please. Yes, I know. So
Yes.
I know we're all looking forward to that. But look, guys, I just want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. And I was gonna say, if you guys have any last moments of thoughts or anything like that you want to share, and then we'll probably get ready to go off here.
One of the words I've been hearing lately going through my mind is just like reset. And I think that, yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff related to this pandemic and a lot of negative things, but it's also an opportunity to just take some of those things that weren't going so hot before and just hit reset on them and just let the Lord lead you, put some, get rid of things if you don't need them anymore. If you're living without them now, maybe they were too much before, and just, dreaming about the future. None of us know what it's going to look like at this point. And, just hitting reset on some things.
Yeah. I would say, if you've hung out with us here to the end and, or you fast forwarded to the end and you're part of Discover Church, I want to say I've had the awesome opportunity to get to know Curtis over the last year and a half, coming up on 2 years. It's August.
I know.
We will have jumped in our first coaching group together. And I just want to say y'all have an incredibly awesome pastor. He and Amy love you all. Just, you are like the pride and joy of you can see it beaming off their face when we talk about church. And so I just kind of wanted to, share that and just talk about how much, we enjoy the friendship that we have with the Joneses, but also just to say you have an incredibly awesome pastor, and you should feel blessed and fortunate to be in their sphere. And so just wanted to offer that.
Well, thank you guys. Listen, we truly appreciate you guys as well. And I know that you were talking with Mr. Tommy Hart the other day about getting together, and I was just like, boy, I would drive to Virginia if I need to. It makes no difference.
That may be his day off that he needs.
But that's also because I'm feeling a little cooped up living in Sussex County. This is probably, believe it or not, if you're watching this right now, I don't even know what's today. Today's the
30th.
28th. Today's the 28th. I haven't left the state of Delaware for 3. And listen, Delaware is not Texas, everybody. Okay, Delaware is like small. I haven't left my state for like 3 months, and that's a big accomplishment for me. But I'm going a little stir crazy. So, but listen, we truly appreciate you guys, and we are just rooting you guys on at. Down there at Vertical Church, and want you to say that, we appreciate the time. I know that, like we were sharing when you first got on tonight, we are Zoomed out. You were on Zoom calls before this. You probably got one lined up for immediately after. But we appreciate you guys' time tonight. Just make sure that you take the opportunity to send your kids some love from us and tell them thank you for letting us share you for the night. But listen, hey, if you are on tonight from Discover Church, or if you jumped on from Vertical or any other church, it makes no difference to us. We're all the family of God. Listen, if you are on here tonight and you say, I would love just to speak to somebody about marriage, whether it's pre-marriage counseling or marriage stuff in general, we promise you we don't have all the answers, but we will certainly love just to be there for you, stand with you, and to encourage and love you through everything. So we want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Be sure to jump on. Guess what? We're doing church online. You guys are doing church online. Are you at 10 o'clock?
Yep.
So they're at 10. We're at 10. If you want, I'm okay. You're just going to jump back and forth between the two, okay?
2 Facebook pages.
2 Facebook pages. I want you to have both services going on. It'll be a good time. But thanks again so much, guys, for hanging on with us tonight. And I think we're going to wrap up. All right. See you guys later.
Thanks.